Welcome to another episode of the Visualize and Create video podcast. I'm excited every time you show up. And listen, if this is your first time tuning in, welcome. But if you are a regular, thank you so much for tuning in. Because today you are going to get what you need to continue to visualize whatever it is that you want in your life and start creating it. Let's get started. You are listening on your favorite podcast provider, or perhaps watching this show on your big TV screen. Regardless, I'm excited to have you. My name is Martine Cadet, and I am the host of the Visualize and Create show. You will be able to meet amazing individuals that are going to inspire you, motivate you, and give you the tools for you to visualize and create whatever it is that you want. Make sure you check out the show notes and share this with a friend. Hello. Welcome again to the Visualize and Create video podcast. My name is Martine Cadet. I am your host. Not only do I love being on stages virtually or in person to speak to many people like yourself, I also am your host here of the Visualize and Create video podcast with a mission to ensure that you connect with amazing individuals to support you in your journey of creating what you want in all areas of your life. And so today I have a special guest. Imani is with me. You can see her if you're watching the video. If you're listening, she is absolutely amazing. We met on one of my favorite platforms, LinkedIn, and we connected, and she's here now. And so I'm excited to have you on the show, Imani. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me, Martine. Excited to be here.
Thank you. Oh my God, I'm so excited. And so here's how we are going to carry on the conversation with Imani. First of all, I always love for my guests to share a little bit about them so that for you listening or watching, you could say, oh my goodness, this is exactly where I am. Or perhaps you could say, oh my goodness, this is where my best friend is. She needs to tune in. And so Imani's going to tell us a little bit about her and how she started her journey. Because listen, you and I both know Imani and I did not wake up like this yesterday. And you're tuning in today because you know you want to move forward and create. So Imani's going to share a little bit about her. Then we're going to dive into the conversation. And before we close, we will make sure that you know exactly where to connect with Imani, because I know you're going to want more. And so stay tuned till the end, okay? We don't want you to leave. And so Imani, tell us about you. Who are you? How has been your journey thus far?
Well, I am Imani, as you probably know, and I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama. I went to UNC Chapel Hill, and I really started just my journey in my career really wanting to follow the steps that were in front of me. You know, A, B, C, D. Someone says major in this in college, I was going to major in it. If someone said, hey, this type of internship, you really need to have this kind of experience, I was the person that said, okay, I want to do everything right. I want to do everything that has been proven in some way to be correct. And it wasn't until I got to college and after college that I started to evaluate, where am I going in my own life? Do I like the direction that I'm going in? Am I actually passionate about what I'm doing? And so that led me on a journey to create gym class. And we will talk about that more, but that is how I got here.
I love that. I love that you broke down that moment when you're like, wait, I actually have control. I
Yeah.
actually could do, and there's nothing wrong with checking off the check boxes, right?
Mhm.
And I can relate to that too, Imani. Like I remember for me, leaving Haiti, where I'm
Mhm.
from, and coming to New York to go to college, I had visualized exactly all of this too. I said, I'm gonna get a corporate job, I'm gonna graduate college, and I did all of that. But then I sat in my cubicle after having six figures in my, a salary, a great corporate job. I was like, well, what else can I do? And so I love that you took that moment and say, wait, light bulb, turn on. What are we going to do? And
Yeah.
so tell us, how did you go about figuring that out? Because that's first of all, that's scary, right? Because you're like, ooh, I'm deviating from the norm. That's going to be scary. And what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? So how did you manage through to create what you have today?
Well, the moment kind of came in just smaller moments of self-reflection. And one particular moment that I remember is in my first job out of college. I had gotten a job that a lot of people said, this is going to be so great for your career. There's prestige, there's things like that. And I remember it was a traveling job. And so that means Monday through Thursday, I was on the road working from my hotel with a team, of course, but it was very much like, hey, you are here to work. And it wasn't until I got home late Thursday night that I would have a minute to kind of breathe. And I remember I was on one particular project, and it was a pretty tough project. And we had a small team. And I was up until about 2 a.m. working on something. And there were a couple of nights like this. And I remember one night in particular, another analyst and I had something to work on, and it was a shared task that we had. And so I would sleep for a couple hours, and then we said, okay, you can wake up at this time and work on it, and then you go to sleep. And it was in that moment I was saying, okay, this is not something that I want to do, because not even just the amount of time that was spent on working on those projects, but I said, okay, if I'm going to be working until 2 a.m. on something, and that may be an extreme case, but even just dedicating a lot of time to something, it better be something that I care about. It better be something that I'm finding fulfillment in, and that it's fulfilling some sort of passion for me. And so that was just one example of a moment that I said, okay, we need to reevaluate some things, because you're only a year into this career, you're only a year out of college, and there's no way you can continue to go down a path that you're not happy about.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Self-reflection. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of us, we are afraid to face the truth. We are afraid to be uncomfortable because it's very comfortable where we are.
Mhm.
I know, again, you're reminding me of those times when I was in my cubicle and I'm like, but Martine, you have that regular paycheck, you have the benefits, you have the 401k. Why in the world would you want to jeopardize that, right?
Right.
And not to mention the fact that what ended up happening with the pandemic, I got laid off. So here you go. And so, listen, if you're still here listening, if you're still here watching, this means to Imani and I that you are invested in what we're saying. You're either perhaps in that moment where you're like, I kind of don't want to be here, but I'm afraid. And guess what? We're here to tell you you can do it. And Imani is going to continue to share with you some of the things that she's done to be able to achieve what she does today, and share a little bit more about what it is that she does today. And so, tell us, what was that first step looking like once you made that self reflection and said, I don't think this is the dance that I want to dance. I want to go to a different club and it needs to be mine. Okay. I'll just say, like, what did you do to say, okay, I got to activate this? I got to start creating.
The first thing that I did was kind of just come to that conclusion, like, okay, something needs to change. And then I started thinking about everything that I'm interested in and directions that I might want to go in. And the key word is might, because, those things that I wrote down, obviously, I didn't pursue all of them. And so I had to be comfortable with saying, okay, we're going to try this. It might not work. We're going to try this. That may not work. But it really started with just having that decision to say, I'm going to write some stuff down, put some stuff on paper, and say, where can I possibly go? Because I know at that time I was 22. I knew that I didn't want to be in the same place at 32 or 42, and I had to make changes right then. So it was saying, okay, I'm interested in this. I'm not really interested in this. Would I be happy doing this in the long run? Would I be fulfilled doing this in the long run? And so first, it was just the ideation phase.
Mhm, mhm. I love that, taking inventory and really I like to call it brain dumping, right?
Right,
So
right.
I love that tip a lot. So for you watching and listening, I hope that you pick that up. If you're washing the dishes, obviously you can't take notes, and if you're driving, listening, obviously you can't take notes, but you could always replay this. But the takeaway here is, and I love it, Imani, that you brought this up, is if you're at a space where you're like, okay, I know this is not where I want to be. I don't know yet what I want to do. Take inventory, because we all have skills. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, Money. I was the one that was super scared in the boardroom to present at a meeting for my vice presidents. And 10 years later, look at me on stage in front of 300 people speaking, right? I didn't know the skill was there, but until you take that inventory, like you shared, Imani. I love that. Identify, and yeah, like you said, you're not going to be able to do all of it, but
Mhm.
eventually you might get to it. But you have to really line list and bring dump everything that you know that you can do. And so once we do that, how do we narrow it down? What if it's 3 pages long of things that we know we could do?
It is saying, okay, what can I do? What's kind of the most resourceful to do right now? What can I start immediately? And sometimes we have ideas for something that may not be possible for us for the next 10 years or something. It may be a huge thing that you may need a lot of funding for, or you may need a lot of support for. So I started to say, okay, what can I do right now to take steps in the direction that I want to go? And that helped me to narrow it down to about 2 or 3 things. Like, what is possible at the moment? What's not going to take a long time to get started? Because that was something that I was also kind of wary of, picking something that I probably couldn't start to do until I was in a certain place in my life.
Yeah.
So that was the first step there.
Yeah, yeah, I love that because to your point, you were still at this job. And
Right.
that's the challenge of a lot of us, like most of us, if not all, multiple, like you'll hear a lot of successful people that are on their own with their businesses. They started a good portion of them while having a day job. And there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with having a day job. I always say this, don't do this hungry.
Yeah.
Make sure that you have food on the table, a roof over your head, and don't just quit this job today, please. That is not what we're saying to you. We're saying
Right.
take inventory first and manage the rent. I love that you shared, grab the lowest hanging fruit, honestly.
Right. Right.
You'll be able to get to all the other things as you proceed because it's a journey.
It
And
is.
so I love that, and work with what you have, right? As a social media content creator and manager of content for my clients, I always tell them this. I'm like, listen, this social media marketing thing is a mindset thing. You have to be careful with what you look at online, and because they were at zero too, whoever that you're looking at, and so you can't go 0 to 100 in 24 hours. I mean, there are success stories like that, but the truth is you got to take one step at a time. And I always like to say scale with precision, right?
Right.
Scale with precision. And so now you found the 3 most important or attainable things that you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And how did you decide, okay, this is the one and I'm going to go for it? And so you decided, how did you do that? Narrow it down more and starting it while working a job.
So I said, which one is getting me the most excited? Like when I just think about, okay, I'm going to do this versus that, which one am I like, oh, I can't wait to get started on that. That was how I picked, because I said, if that one goes well, then, I'm in a really, really good spot because not only is it attainable, but I'm also super excited about it versus the others. So that was the next step in narrowing down.
Excellent. And so today, tell us what you do and how it has it become, right?
Mm-hmm. So today I own Gym Class, and Gym Class means grow, embody, and move. And it's a media platform that's designed to help people grow their own identity, which is G, embody their own love, which is E, and move with their own intentions, which is M. And I came with the idea because I said, there's a lot of people who were like me at the beginning of their journeys who did not know what they wanted to do, did not know what identity they wanted to have in this world, and they didn't know where to find that support or how to support themselves internally. And so I really wanted to say, okay, how can I inspire people through the content that I create, which is videos, podcasts, written work? How can I inspire people to evaluate their own lives and make sure they're showing up not only with confidence, but with authenticity to who they are in every area? And so that is what Gym Class is today.
I love it. I love the gym idea too because it's essentially correct me if I'm wrong, it's a workout. Like every single day, right? Every single day. Listen, you're not gonna lose that weight like in a week. You gotta keep showing up for yourself, your
Mhm.
true self, right? Like you said,
Yeah.
I love your mission. And
Thank
you
you.
know, the that part to help start the beginning stages.
Mhm.
You hear a lot about let's scale. I'm going to help you scale. I honestly don't hear enough about that start time. And I love that you're touching on, the mental part of the process, because
Mhm.
it takes a toll on you to make a decision that is, contrary to what you had planned for yourself, because
Mhm.
your best self is there. It's just a matter
Right.
of you of finding it and saying yes to yourself. Bravo, love it. I believe
Mhm.
that, you listening and watching, you're here at this point. That means you're like, yes, I need this. I need the support, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and again, you mentioned this at the top of the conversation too, Imani. At some point in your journey, you were like, okay, which of those things will I need support for? Which of those things that I have the network for, right?
Mhm.
Because this journey, you cannot do this by yourself. Hence why
No.
you came on this show to share with us that. And that's why you listening and watching, you need the support. And so Imani's right here. She showed up for you today. And she's going to share with you now what's in the show note, how to get in touch with her, so you can find out more about how you're going to get in the gym with her. Right? And so, Imani, what's in the show notes? Tell us.
Well, in the show notes, you'll find a link that will help you to subscribe to my newsletter. And in that newsletter, I'll be sharing news, updates with gym class, and also just daily tips and inspiration that you can use in your everyday life to boost your confidence, but also to just double check yourself and make sure, am I doing what I actually want to be doing? And it's not always just a broad idea, but it's the little things that we go through in life. So in the show link, you'll find a link to subscribe and stay connected with me.
Oh, I love it. And listen, you got to remember too, for you listening and watching, everything that you're going to take action on and start creating, there is a potential that it may not succeed right now, but that doesn't mean it's not over. But again, if it doesn't succeed, there's a reason why it happened the way it happened. And the only way you're going to be able to unlock why it did not work and really move forward for that and move to the next step is to have that support. And so I love that you stay connected with your community by sending those emails and showing up on video and truly serving on a consistent basis, because we need that heartbeat. We need that gym. We need to work that brain every single day when we want to create. And so go in the show notes, all right? Re-listen, rewind. And by the way, for you listening and watching, share this with a friend, share this with a family member. Don't keep it all for yourself, okay? Gym class is here for everybody. And so do share away. Send a message to Imani. Imani, you're on social. I mentioned we connected on LinkedIn. Where else, which platform do you like to hang out the most on so we can connect with you?
You can find me on YouTube, Imani Reynolds. You can also find me on Facebook, Imani Reynolds Gym Class. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok. Just look up Imani Reynolds and you will see me.
Oh, I love it. I just joined TikTok, so I'm gonna look for you. And for you listening, watching, all those links are in the show notes. Make sure you send her a message. Let her know that you watched or listened to this episode. We always love to hear from you. Email me, Martine at martinecadet.com. Let me know that you listened to this, and I will connect you to Imani. Don't be afraid. This is why we show up. We show up for you. We show up to help you continue to visualize and give you the tools and the people so that you can create. All right. And so you got this. And Imani, thank you so much again for coming
Thank
on.
you.
I look forward to our connection and potentially coming back on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Martine. It's been awesome to be here.
Bye for now. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye. You have just listened or watched the Visualize and Create show. Don't forget to download our app and make sure to leave us a review. And before I go, I do want you to visit my website, martinecadet.com. Browse around. There's a lot of stuff in there. I have a store. I also have great services available for you so that you can visualize and create anything that you want. I will see you in the next episode.